Hello, everyone. I'll be with you shortly. Robin's the Bill. Yes, Vinny Barbarino. You got that one right. Stephen Lyons, how you doing? Robin, how you doing? Bubbles, Yankee, Polynesian Pip, the MiG-26. Aloha to both of you and all of you. So I'll be with you guys very shortly. Hopefully the audio is coming in okay for you. Thanks again for joining me this evening or this morning, wherever you might be at. Hey, Pablo Pina, how you doing? Jamesers 99, Jack P, Bobby Jones, Douglas Hamilton 49 Fine. Glad y'all could be here. The MiG 26, thanks for the feedback. Appreciate that. So I'll be firing up real soon and we'll be getting this show on the road. Thanks again for being here. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira, and this is our weekly live stream. Again, glad you all could be here. Had some of a roll call. Let me pick up the roll call. Robert, excuse me, Robert Utrip, how you doing? Mr. Nguyen, Patrick Bateman, how you doing? And yeah, Bubbles Burn Yankee. Okay, gotta love that one. So again, thank you all for being here. Um, yeah, this one, what we're going to be doing is we're going to go over the terms unallocated, pooled, allocated, and allocated because there seems to be a lot of confusion as to what's going on. Looking at my Twitter feed this past week, so we're going to touch on that afterwards. Before, what we're going to be looking at is a few clips from our past interview with Dr. Lawrence Reed. And, we'll just be having a few other news items. So we'll be doing that first. So, again, thank you all for being here. Good evening if you're in the States or the Western Hemisphere. Good morning if you're over here in Asia. Again, thank you for being here. Mutant Ref, how you doing? Danny Fought, again, Tweety Bird, Tweety Bird, okay. So again, if you are new, go ahead and type in new and where you're from, and we'll go ahead and we'll try to give you some acknowledgement. And as always, do subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Hit that bell to be notified for new videos that we post. So again, glad y'all could be here. And as always, you can find us on social media. SilverBullingcom.sg is our website. Yes, we sell gold and silver, but more than that, we do specialize in systemic wealth protection. As I always say, a lot of you folks already know what's going on. So if you need some options, some opinions, go ahead and give us an email. Send us an email, sales@silverbullion.com.sg, and go ahead and talk to us. We'll talk to you. Silver Bullion SG is our Facebook handle. Silver Bullion PL is where you can find us on Twitter. Audio versions bit.ly, SBTV iTunes, SBTV Spotify. And as always, do join this crisis tracker group. I think it's a really good group on Telegram. We do post news as it pertains to finance, economics, gold, silver, things like that. And as I say, we sift through the weeds to try and bring out the things that are probably the more important items that you should know. So again, those places here, or these places here, are where you can find us on social media. So again, very easy to contact. Okay, so again, Bay Creek Detectives, how you doing? Pat Gagan, Bill Cooper, Penny Pinch and Prepper, Grumpstar. Just want to try to acknowledge as many of you as I can. Thank you for taking time out to be with us. Working with SMEs, Glenn Stewart. I'm from London, England, but live in Australia. Welcome aboard. Glad you're here. So I guess you're with us in the Asian or Asia part of the world. So thank you for being here. So upcoming guest, we've had him on before, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting. So because of what's going on, so we decided to bring him back, and he agreed. It's going to be Keith Newmeyer. CEO of Majestic Silver Corporation and chairman of First Mining Gold, Mr. Silver, as he is known in some circles, having proffered many well regarded editorials and analysis of the silver mining industry over the years. And he was named ENY's Mining Entrepreneur of the Year back in 2012 and even Kitco's CEO of the Year in 2019. So we're looking forward to having Keith join us again. And as always, we want to thank you for being here, as we said, with our ebook giveaway. We're going to be giving away one more time Dr. Reed's book, the one on Rome and the U.S. It's a pretty great comparison. But again, Keith Newmeyer will be here, so I do hope you join us. Let's see, Spark Curry, do you have a Vieira brother? E, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say my family tree is a bit complicated, but I'll say yeah to that. The guys at work know how complicated my family tree is, but anyway, something else that is complicated is what's going on in the U.S. and how it does have a lot of similarities to what's going on in Rome. And as mentioned, we're going to be doing our ebook giveaway on "Are We Rome" by Lawrence Reed, Dr. Lawrence Reed. Monumental sums for corporate bailouts, staggering increases in public debt, concentration of power in the central government. These are only some of the economic issues in the U.S. that the U.S. is facing. In this illuminating essay, Dr. Lawrence Reed, president of FEE, discusses 21st century America and how similar it is to the ill-fated Roman welfare state 2 millennia ago. And I know we still owe three of you guys from last week the books. We're trying to clear up something with Amazon right now, but we'll get those books out. And for the winners this week, we will get those books out as well. Ebooks. So if you want to win, the rules here: download the Kindle app from your phone or tablet's app store. It's free. Be the first to answer correctly in this live stream. Or actually, we're going to do it five. We'll take the first five to answer correctly in this live stream before the timer runs out. You're going to have about a minute and 30 seconds. Excuse me. US winners will be given a link, excuse me, to download that Kindle ebook. And winners outside the US, we're going to have to give you an alternative prize because Kindle, they do not allow us to give ebook gifts outside of the US. And you're going to have to give us your email. What we'll do is my colleague Vincent, don't know what I'd do without him. He's standing by and he will mute your comments. And so that way you can go ahead and give us your email and nobody else will see except for us. So having said all that, the question, and you really had to watch this last interview, and I hope you do because it's a good one. So the question is, what does Dr. Reed have a bust of, or who does Dr. Reed have a bust of in his living room? Okay, so who does Dr. Reed have a bust of in his living room? So we'll go from there. Yeah, always be funding. We'll take care of that. As I was saying, we had a issue with, or Amazon had an issue with us, so we need to clean that up, and we will. It's pretty much cleared up anyway, so we'll get the books out. So again, who does Dr. Reed have a bust of in his living room? And you really had to watch the interview to know this answer. So go ahead and give it your best shot. Okay, so answers are coming in. Let's see. Jack P, Cicero, working with SMEs, Cicero. Polynesian Pip, I will take that as Cicero. Hanging effigy of the bed. Let's see. Fat Vegan, the Fed, vicariously. Patrick Bateman, I'll take that as Cicero. Justin Gunn, Caligula. James Richter, Dolly Parton. All right. Okay. Pablo Pina, Harry Dent. I don't think he has the bust of Harry Dent there. Okay, so got some pretty good answers here. Appreciate the humor. You guys are always great. So time's running out a bit. So okay. So we're gonna end. Let me see. We will end at Bubbles Bernanke. So we'll end at Bubbles Bernanke. Um okay. So the winners, you guys got it right. It is Cicero or Cicero or Ci- I'm always pronouncing the guy's name wrong. It's that guy. Anyway, Jack P, Polynesian Pip. Actually, there's a few of you. We went over 5, but that's okay. Jack P, Polynesian Pip, working with SMEs. Patrick Bateman again. So I think we may yeah, Patrick Bateman. Okay, Justin Gunn and Bubbles Bernanke. You guys are the 5 winners. Jack P, Polynesian Pip, working with SMEs. Patrick Bateman, Justin Gunn, and Bubbles Bernanke make that 6 winners. So these are the 6 winners. Will be my colleague Vincent will be contacting you. He'll put you on mute, and then we'll go ahead and get the ebooks out as soon as we can. So again, thanks for participating, guys. Appreciate it. Let me just make sure house is in order here. Randy Osborne. Okay. All right. You guys. Oh boy. Okay. Randy Osborne. That's okay. No comment there. So anyway, yes, he has a bust of Cicero, and for good reason. Anyway, let me play a few clips from that Dr. Reed interview, and I really hope you guys had a chance to watch it because it was it's a great history lesson on history.
The debasement of currency is a sign of dishonesty. Think of it this way: a sound currency, and this is the way it was considered for much of American history. A sound currency was a testimony to the soundness of the monetary system, and we used to think of the dollar as good as gold, and you just don't debase it because it's our currency. And when you reduce its value through the multiplication of it, you destroy savings. People have less and less incentive to save because why save in something that's worth less and less from year to year? It has a lot of harmful economic implications, but it's ultimately a sign of the loss of character.
Sign of a loss of character. That's it's pretty profound. I mean, I think we've always heard that term before growing up. Character. So I think he's spot on there. Debasement is dishonesty. Sound currency was a testimony to the soundness of the monetary system. It's ultimately a sign of the loss of character. Let's see. Got a message coming in. Patrick Bateman, Polynesian Pip. You guys also won last week. So what I'll do is I'll look for another book from Dr. Reed, and then I'll go ahead and get that out to you alternatively. Okay, so good job again, guys. So debasement is dishonesty. Let's take a look at another clip from Dr. Reed.
The number one problem in every country and at all time, or the number one source of trouble, relates to character. It all comes from character. People who lose their character go off on all kinds of crazy, unproductive tangents, like supporting big government, dependence upon the state, printing money as if honesty no longer means anything in terms of your money. So character really is what's behind a nation's rise or fall. And that's why I think it's important to focus on that as an explanation for a society's rise and later fall.
Okay, so number one problem and source of trouble relates to character. Character is what stands behind a nation's rise and fall. And when you look at various nations around the world today, you can definitely see the character of a country. You can either see it rising, you can see it falling, and it does play a role into a country's continued rise or start being on a slippery slope and contributing to their fall. So character, it's again, you can't stress it enough. Character is everything, Tweety Bird. Exactly. Character does play a huge role in a lot of things. One more clip from Dr. Reed.
In the 140s BC, you had public officials deciding, hey, government shouldn't be just to protect the lives and the property and the rights of people. We should use it as an apparatus to redistribute. We should buy votes with it. And so they started offering grain subsidies, first subsidized grain, later in many cases free grain. And to that, they later added free salt and pork and olive oil and other staples of the Roman diet, so that people became dependent upon the state. Less and less was your livelihood dependent upon what you did. It was more dependent upon what the politicians decided to do for you at other people's expense.
Okay, so public officials should protect, right? Should protect, but not use the powers that they have as an apparatus to redistribute by votes, things like that. They shouldn't, let's just say they shouldn't be doing that. People become dependent on the state. Less and less was your livelihood dependent on what you did, which kind of makes sense with what Dr. Reed was saying there. And it was more dependent upon what the politicians decided to do for you at other people's expense. So this was Rome. And you can surely compare it to what's going on in the States today. It's no secret. I think everybody knows that politicians do pander. They are going to try and get you to vote for them a lot of times because of what they're going to offer you, and a lot of times free. A lot of times free. So moving on, I also want to play a clip from a recent Peter Schiff show, and he spoke about government spending and taxes. Okay, so here we go.
Looking at spending from, I guess, the previous March, government spending rose by 160%, while tax revenues rose just 13%. So total tax revenue for March was only $268 billion. In other words, for every dollar the government collected in actual taxes in March, the government spent $3.50. That's ridiculous. In fact, put another way, 70% of what the government spent, they borrowed. Only 30% of government spending was actually covered by current taxation. Now, how could that not be a red sign that Biden is ignoring? In fact, he's not only ignoring it, he's enabling it. He is the instigator. He's making it possible. Because where is the government getting all this money? Well, they're getting it from the Fed. I mean, if they're not getting it directly from the Fed and that the Fed is monetizing the bonds, the only reason that anybody else is buying bonds at this price is because the Fed is in there backstopping the market. Without the Federal Reserve's commitment to open-ended QE, nobody would be buying U.S. Treasuries. So the only reason we can run a $660 billion deficit in March is because of the Fed. And it doesn't mean that we're getting $660 billion worth of government for free. The public is going to have to pay for all that government. And if they don't pay for it through official taxes, it will be paid for through unofficial taxes, i.e. inflation. The inflation tax is how this is going to be paid for, because all these people who are getting all this government money, right, it's getting spent in the economy. People have this money. They're buying stuff with it. They're not producing stuff. They're just buying. They're consumers. They're not producers. So prices have to go up. In the short run, we can import things, right? So supply of goods can go up because we can rely on imports, but there's a limit to how much we can import. In fact, look at what's happening. I talked about the bottleneck at the ports. I mean, we're busting at the seams here because so many products are coming into the country because our economy is too weak to actually produce them. And all we're doing is spending, the money the Fed prints. But there's a limit to that. I mean, at some point, we're going to hit the tipping point and the dollar is going to collapse and prices are going to soar.
Okay. So I think you nailed a lot of things there. I was looking at your comments. I know there's also some news going on, or opinions, depend on how you want to look at it, going on over in Twitter with Schiff and things like that. But we're going to get taxed for all the government spending. The thing is, we're going to get taxed through inflation. Schiff is right there. Completely believe him. And the dollar is going to collapse and prices are going to soar. I think most of us also believe that as well. But keeping with Schiff, I also want to share one more thing with Schiff that I found on Twitter that I thought was pretty funny on his tweets. So what it was Schiff, Peter Schiff, congratulated his son Spencer on hitting 60,000 Twitter followers, and he said, "I just wish he would go back," meaning his son Spencer. "I just wish he would go back to posting mostly insightful tweets about the U.S. economy and financial markets, rather than mainly posting nonsense about Bitcoin." And then below, you can see his son replied or responded, "Thank you. I just wish you would only post tweets about the U.S. economy and financial markets rather than nonsense about Bitcoin." So I thought that was pretty funny there. So a father son debate about Bitcoin, and man, there must be a lot of pretty good conversations there around the dinner table still. Father son debate on Bitcoin. It's not the only debate on Bitcoin and gold. Another big debate on Bitcoin and gold, it's about to happen.
Gold is the place to be. There's no doubt that that's the one asset that represents safety of your wealth.
I don't think it's an irrational thing to bet on technology in the modern era. So that's what Bitcoin is.
I'm especially concerned about what governments and central banks will do if Bitcoin ever becomes a threat.
Institutions are bringing billions and billions of dollars to Bitcoin because they want to store a value against monetary inflation.
Gold is something that everybody must own. It's never, ever fail.
Bitcoin is an infinitely hard asset.
I don't think it's anywhere near replacing gold.
Yeah, so I'm looking for that. Get ready for that one. Should be a good one. But a lot of times we see this Bitcoin gold debate going back and forth. I mean, the two really can work together. The two absolutely can work together. Sometimes, I understand the passion. I do. I understand the emotion. Sometimes, when we do take a step back and we look at the two, and then you can see how, hey, there is a possibility that the two can definitely work together. And it's if this isn't really enough to put up for a debate, U.S. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell then had this to say.
We think of them more as crypto assets because crypto, what people call cryptocurrencies, they're really vehicles for speculation. No one is using them for payments, for example, like the dollar. What they're using them for is to speculate. It's a little bit like gold. For thousands of years, human beings have given gold this special value that it doesn't have from an industrial standpoint, but nonetheless, for thousands of years, they've done that. So Bitcoin is much more like that, and the cryptocurrencies are much more like that. They're not really being actively used as payments.
Okay, so how would I read this? Well, I would simply read it as keep getting crypto if you like crypto. Keep getting gold and silver if you like gold and silver. Better still, learn the value and importance of both. It is true. Gold and silver have indeed been currencies for centuries. I think maybe Mr. Paul forgot that. Gold and silver have been currencies for centuries. A gold-backed crypto brings what gold and silver have done for centuries. It brings it forward, and at least that's the objective that they're trying to get to. It brings it forward to move it into the centuries ahead. And there is a role for both, a greater role than does an unbacked fiat currency have, and perhaps even an unbacked central bank digital currency have. So, what's the Fed going to offer us? More unbacked things? So, again, options. Options are what we need to be looking at. So, moving on, we'll go to our website, silverbulling.com.sg, where we do offer you options without a doubt. So here we are, Bloomberg. We were featured in Bloomberg. I'll touch on that in a bit. And looking at the silver price in U.S. dollars, 25.89. I think it's come down a bit. It's pretty interesting to see over the weekend. I had seen it at 25.99. I had seen it down 25.97. I had seen it up 26.02. And this was during the weekend when the markets were closed. 1778 is the gold price. So silver slightly down, gold a little up, nothing significant. Nickel a little bit down, 15,945 a ton. And again, nickel is going to be a key component for electric vehicles, simply because it's a key component in the batteries that power up the electric vehicles. So as always, download our investor kit and do sign up for a Star Storage account. It is free. Looking at the silver to gold ratio, 68.7. So we're still kind of hanging around that 67 to 69 range. Still there. And it is still a time to buy silver. Definitely a time to buy silver. If you're trying to decide to buy silver or gold, it's a time to buy silver still, according to the silver to gold ratio. Featured products again: nickel 1,000 ounce LBMA bars, 100-gram gold bars, gold coins. These are some of the products that we do have. And again, everybody's always talking about these LBMA bars. So I just want to go ahead and touch on this again. So again, one bar in stock for that one strong guy who wants to pick it up and take it home. 293 that we have available for you to put in storage. This number has come down quite a bit. We were over 400 a couple weeks ago or so, and now it's come down to below 300. So people have been buying up these bars, and if you do buy it and you do want to store it in our vault, you're going to have to sign up. You're going to have to sign up as a user, and to store it in our vault, which is pretty easy to do. You just go ahead and click sign up here at the top. Sign up, and then again you'll notice we have 6 accounts: personal, joint, trust, joint account with a minor. Maybe you have a child that you would like to have an account for, business account, and also a retirement account. And again, I've said this last week, retirement account should be it should be on your radar right now, especially for you guys with 401ks. You need to talk to someone about rolling some of that 401k over into a retirement account, because again, when that market goes down, 401ks, a lot of them are heavily invested in the market: stocks, bonds, mutual funds, things like that. So you may want to look at a way to protect some of that 401k by rolling them over into a precious metals account. And if you do sign up for account, again, just basic information: your name, nationality, the currency you want. Currency, because in case you choose to sell your bar, we will buy it from you, and then we'll go ahead and send the money back to your bank account. So that's why I preferred currency. And really, you just need to fill out an application and have some type of ID, driver's license or passport. And that'll be good enough for a basic personal account. And again, as always, do choose SBTV. That helps us out here. Lets the guys know that we're actually doing some work here and we're not just partying and having fun all the time. Send letters. Newsletters are optional. I would say tick that. Vincent, my colleague, he sends out always great newsletters. And I would say tick this also, where you receive customer notifications via encrypted secure notification. What that means is when you get when we need to communicate with you in your Gmail, your Yahoo, whatever you're using, you're just going to get an email that says you have a notification from us. So this way, the body or the content is not in the email, because security is everything nowadays. So you want to make sure you don't have all of these things exposed. So that was just a quick rundown. I'll get into more things later on. Moving over to Twitter, I tell you, it was a crazy week in Twitter, but a few things. Colin Cattell from Palisades, Palisade Global, I should say. Sorry about that, Colin. He tweeted, and this is about Gregor Gregerson. He began by meeting people in a train station, exchanging bars of silver for bags of cash, and he's now building the largest silver vault on planet Earth with a 15,000 metric ton capacity. And this is all true. I mean, you folks have seen before where we showed you videos where we moved from the old vault into the new building. At that time, it was 400 tons that we were moving, and now we're in a place where we can hold 15,000 metric tons, and that's how much we believe in silver. And this was something that Bloomberg picked up, and they had put out, and there was a lot of press over it. So if you didn't hear about it, definitely look into it. It was a pretty good article from Bloomberg. Another article: food prices are skyrocketing. I want you guys to keep this in mind right here. There's 4 reasons, but 2 of them especially. Food prices are skyrocketing. You can blame these 4 reasons. Okay, 2 two important ones: plummeting food production. Why is food production plummeting? Well, still because of the pandemic issues, you don't have perhaps fully manned production still. So that is one reason. And the other reason, again, if you don't have that fully manned capacity, you're not going to be able to meet the demand. So production slows down while demand still continues. And this is very similar with what's going on in the silver industry, correct? And another thing, transportation tumult. And I've said this before, where what's happening is as the world is opening back up, these containers here on the ship, they are a premium. I've seen prices double, even triple, looking at container prices. And the thing is, getting a container on a ship right now, it is a challenge. And what I mean is, there is a lot of competition. People are needing to get their things moved across the world. The world is opening up. And this is another reason, again, why there are delays as far as getting silver to dealers. So these two things right here, production, maybe, you could be a miner and you have different types of regulations. Now you need to follow that, slow down production. You're not fully staffed, slows down production, and demand is high. It's hard to keep up. And the other part is transportation. So even when you do get your product ready, then it can be another mission to get it on board a ship. So if you look at it, is there a shortage in silver? Not necessarily. There's just a slowdown in getting that silver to you. So these are two very, very different things now. A shortage in silver from the mining side is one thing, but if your dealer's shelves are not stocked, more than likely it's because production has slowed down, demand is high, and shipping again is a bit more of a challenge. So keep that in mind as we move on. Okay. Um, Short selling plays several important roles in the market, including accurate price discovery and early detection of fraud. Now, some people will argue this point. Now, analysts warn that social media and meme stocks could bring about changes to the practice. So, this is interesting because, guys will tweet a meme or they will just tweet how they feel or whatever it is. And then you see the markets move, you see commodities move. And so the established or the establishment, they don't particularly like this. So this is, we're going to have to keep an eye on this and see what happens as far as regulations come out. Ronnie Storfley has a picture of Powell and Yellen both bearing price discovery. I thought that was pretty funny as well. And this one here, kind of important. Christine Lagarde, let's just go ahead and take a listen to this.
Here, we think, we central banks, and I'm not the only one here, there are, at least 80 central banks around the world that are looking at digital currencies. We think that it's a duty of us to actually have available digital currencies that would operate to the benefit of consumers. So what would it look like? Well, it could be used like banknotes. I don't think it is like banknotes because it will not have the degree of anonymity that banknotes have. And I find it very interesting, by the way, that in the consultation that we conducted, that consumers who responded in very large numbers said, we want our privacy to be protected, but we don't want anonymity, because they understand the risk of anonymity when it comes to digital currencies. We think, we central bank.
Yeah, the risk of anonymity. People want privacy, but they don't want anonymity. Um, I don't quite follow that, but what she said is, I mean, you really got to think about what she says, and their mind is already made up what they're going to do. So they're letting you know that, it may be maybe like a banknote, to keep you at bay with something you're familiar with, but you're going to lose some privacy, or anonymity, and so again that reading between the lines, it just basically tells you that whatever you're going to do, more than likely it is going to be tracked. So this is This is where central banks are headed. Okay, Tweety Bird. She's cute. Okay, we'll might have to ban you after that one. Just kidding. Okay, Tweety Bird, we got you. So let's see, Sarge, no anonymity. Got it. Yeah. So again, this is where they're going, and what gives you anonymity is right now the cash, holding the cash. Using cash. So, they're saying they're putting it on us. They're saying we don't want anonymity. They're saying we don't want it. So again, I don't completely buy into that. But anyway, that's what's coming out there. So let's move forward a bit. I've seen a lot of confusion, speculation, sensationalism on the state of mints and the availability of product, which I just showed you can be because of lack of production, high demand, and it can be of shipping right now. Okay, so lack of product. Definitions of allocated, unallocated, etc. And what I'd like to do to hopefully help us get an understanding of some of the definitions of words commonly used in the industry as defined by the World Gold Council. There has to be somebody defining these terms, and we have to understand and agree to it. These words being the often heard allocated pool or pool allocated and unallocated. So we may understand, or we think we might understand the definition of the word, but do the mints and other financial products understand the definition of the word? So we're going to take a look at it. And this is why, as one of you noticed, we had a picture of Vinny Barbarino from Welcome Back Kotter saying, I'm so confused, because there's a lot of confusion going on as to what is allocated, unallocated, and pool allocated. So here we go.
Gold is prized by cultures around the world as an asset in which they can invest, accumulate, and protect their wealth. Retail customers have a long history of buying gold, and today there is a huge demand for various retail gold products, purchased both in stores and online. Whereas products such as gold-backed exchange-traded funds are classified as financial securities and are regulated, other forms of physical retail gold investments are mostly unregulated. These include gold bullion bars and coins, numismatic coins and other collectibles, gold investment jewelry, and managed gold products such as vaulted gold. So how do we help retail investors to have confidence in the gold they buy and the providers they choose to buy it from? In collaboration with industry stakeholders globally, the World Gold Council is launching a set of retail gold investment principles aimed at further improving and instilling best practices across the retail gold marketplace. The first principle is to ensure fairness and integrity. Retailers must treat customers fairly and act with integrity from how they market, inform, price, and transact. The second is to create transparency. Providers must be transparent about prices and key terms and disclose material information related to the product so customers can make informed decisions. The third is the protection of client assets. Providers must ensure adequate protection of customers' gold holdings, as well as other assets held on behalf of a customer, including cash. The fourth concerns responsible gold sourcing. Providers must only source gold of high integrity from suppliers who can be verified and trusted at all times, whilst considering environmental, social, and governance criteria. The fifth is regulatory compliance. A provider must adhere to all applicable regulations and local laws in the markets they operate in. The sixth is commercial prudence. A provider must not take excessive risks and should maintain adequate financial resources, including safety buffers for various eventualities, including closure of their business. And finally, operational professionalism. A provider must conduct their business with due skill, care, and diligence, and manage key risks such as physical security, cybersecurity, and outsourcing to third parties. The World Gold Council will engage with industry stakeholders, including product providers, trade associations, and policymakers, to effectively implement the retail gold investment principles across the globe and provide investors with the assurances and confidence they need to place their trust in gold. To find out more about the retail gold investment principles, please visit gold.org.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now, I understand, not everybody will follow the World Gold Council, but that's part of the problem. And what I mean by that is, who is the true definitive authority as far as classifying things such as unallocated, allocated, pooled allocated, things like that? And there does have to be some some somewhere, someplace that we can go that is going to give the definition for the world to follow. And then the World Gold Council is probably the closest place. And not everyone agrees with everything they say or do, but at least for in this case with the definitions, I think it's something that we all need to understand, especially the mints, because mints a lot of times they define it in their own ways. So allocated gold, an allocated account is an account with a bullion dealer to which individually identified gold bars or coins owned by the account holders are credited. The gold bars or coins in an allocated account are specific. Okay, keyword specific to that account and can be uniquely identified. Another keyword, specific, uniquely identified. So these are keywords as far as the definition of allocated gold. Pool allocated gold are fractional allocations. You notice that word fractional. Pool allocated gold accounts provide investors with co-ownership. Okay, co-ownership. You don't own it outright. You own it with someone else in an allocated gold bar or pool of allocated gold bars. Pool allocated gold is fully backed by physical gold. Investors own a fraction. Keyword. You own a fraction of the overall pool of allocated gold, but are not allocated individual bars. Again, keyword. You don't get an allocated individual bar. Okay, so what do we know so far? Allocated gold, specific and uniquely identified to you. You own it. Pool allocated, you own a fraction, you co-own it, and there is no individual bar that is specific to you. Unallocated, in an unallocated account, a customer does not own specific bars or coins. Okay, we got that? You do not own a specific bar or coin, but you have a general entitlement to a set amount of gold. Okay, general entitlement to a set amount of gold. I can say that is kind of vague. I think that needs to be defined a little bit more clearly. General entitlement to a set amount of gold. The investor is not the legal owner. Okay, we got this. Unallocated gold, you are not the legal owner of any physical gold. Instead, you are a creditor of the provider. So again, keyword, you are a creditor. You're not an owner. You're a creditor. You don't really own anything. A customer does not own specific bars or coins, but has general entitlement to a set amount of gold. So let me backtrack and I'll say that. I'm not going to say you don't own anything. Okay, so keep in mind, allocated, specific, uniquely identified, you own it, it's yours. Pool allocated, you have co-ownership. Nothing is in your name. No specific bar is in your name. And unallocated, no specific bar or anything is in your name, and you have general entitlement to a set amount of gold. So the question, really becomes, why would people want to choose, let's say, unallocated or even pool allocated, and why not allocated? And again, it all depends on your needs, on your wants, and on your needs. But before this, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what mints offer. In fact, I'll start with the iTrust SLV. And let me move over to the correct page here. Okay, so on page 21 of their prospectus at the bottom, allocated accounts. Okay, so they are saying they have allocated accounts. According to the LBMA, these accounts are opened when a customer requires metal to be physically segregated, and needs a detailed list of weights and assays. The customer has full title to the metal in the account, with the dealer holding it on the client's behalf as a custodian. Customers holding Their holdings are identified in a weight list of bars showing the unique bar number, gross weight, the absolute fineness of each bar, and its fine weight. Credits or debits to the holding will be affected by physical movement of bars to or from the customer's physical holding. So this is what they say. This is what they say as far as allocated accounts. Okay, that's what they say. Unallocated. Unallocated accounts do not have specific bars set aside, and the customer only has a general entitlement to the metal. So again, they are in line with the definition from the World Gold Council. It is the most convenient, cheapest, and most commonly used method of holding metal. Transactions may be settled by credits or debits to the account, while the balance represents the indebtedness between the two parties. Credit balances on the account do not entitle the creditor to specific bars. Again, this falls in line with the World Gold Council definition, but are backed by the general stock of the bullion dealer with whom the account is held. The client is an unsecured creditor. Should the client wish to receive the actual metal, this is done by allocating specific bars or equivalent bullion products. So what happens is if you want it, you have to move from unallocated to allocated. And I won't read this one, but they're pulled sorry, it's not regulated. Their commodity pools are not regulated. So when you want to look at pooled, allocated, things like that, it's not regulated as far as the iTrust SLV goes. Okay, so we kind of understand, even in an SLV, which many of us call paper silver, they say they have accounts which they claim to be allocated, and there are also choices for unallocated and choices for pooled. Their definitions of allocated, unallocated, and pooled, they do fit. They do fit within the definitions from the World Gold Council. So there is some consistency there, at least as far as the definitions. Now, whether or not they abide by them, yes, I know a lot of you guys are getting angry out there. Now, whether or not they abide by them, it's a totally different story. Nonetheless, they do offer the same definitions as does the World Gold Council and need to be held to account. Part of that is always reading the fine print, as one of you mentioned. So definitely read whatever you are going to sign. Read whatever you're going to sign. Okay, moving on. The other week there was a tweet going around about a silver crisis in the UK, and it caught my attention. I will say it caught my attention, and the context was the Royal Mint was out of silver bars. And so, I went over to the website and I went and had a look, and yeah, it actually was out of silver bars. But going through the Royal Mint website, some of the bars, they were limited edition type of bars. I guess you could label them collectible, being that their mintage was pretty low. But then looking at coins, the Royal Mint was fully stocked in coins. So I had to kind of question, well, what is the silver crisis in the UK? I mean, a few bars are out, but they're fully stocked on coins. So it prompted me to look a bit deeper, and I get it. I get it. These are not normal times, and silver is in high demand. And again, I appreciate the attention as to what's going on. It got me to look into what's going on as well. And this is all very positive, okay? In a positive way. It also led me to realize that maybe we don't understand what's going on with the mints, and especially when it comes to storage or purchasing allocated, unallocated, and pooled products. So I thought, maybe we'll go over these websites, especially at the mints, and see what they say. And I'm going to start with the Royal Mint. Okay, so this is from the Royal Mint itself. What is the allocated storage for coins and bars? The Royal Mint stores coins and bars on fully allocated or on a fully allocated basis. Fully allocated means the physical coins and bars are held in the vault specifically on behalf of each client. Each tube or bar is given a unique serial number, which is then linked to your account. So again, this definitely fits within the World Gold Council of what is allocated. So taking a look at another page. So this from the Royal Mint as well, allocated gold versus unallocated gold. And it's a question of ownership. And they make a very, very good point here. No one deposits cash in a bank expecting those very same notes and coins to eventually be returned to them. But conversely, were someone to entrust their family, hang on, let me make this a bit larger. And I wish they would have chose other words here. I know some of you guys are going to get a kick out of this. Conversely, were someone to entrust their family jewels to a safe deposit box, not my words, theirs, they would be unamused to be offered different jewels, albeit of an equivalent value when they came to withdraw. What of gold? Held on deposit at a bank or in a dealer's vault, does the purchaser own a specific bar or bars or a labeled tube of bullion coins, or do they simply hold an entitlement to gold of a certain value? Simple answer is it depends. Gold can be either allocated or unallocated, as we know, and the difference between the two is profound. So allocated versus unallocated. Allocated is the owner's personal property. Okay, it is your personal property that happens to be stored away from home for whatever reasons you can't or don't want to keep it at home. A vault maintained by a bullion dealer is a favored location for allocated gold for the obvious reason of security. But while allocated gold may be stored away from home, it is earmarked 100% for the owner rather than held in a common pool. With allocated gold, a certificate will entitle the owner to a precise allocation of bullion. This word here, certificate, be very careful. I think certificates are fine when you have a government-backed mint, or if a mint is a government mint, certificates are fine. But if you have a private company, private dealer who is giving you certificates of ownership, I would question that. You need to question that. You don't want a certificate. You want something that gives you more concrete ownership, like an invoice, perhaps. So unallocated gold is on loan from the purchaser to the institution concerned. It is the liability of that institution in the same way that a cash deposit is a liability of the bank in which it is placed. For the duration of the period in which the unallocated gold bullion is held in the vaults, it is the property of the institution. Okay, so we get this? They clearly state it's the property of the institution, talking about unallocated gold. This can be particularly relevant in relation to banks, as the unallocated gold can count towards the reserves, okay, that is required to hold in case of emergencies. Now, prior to the credit crunch, the danger of gold buyers losing their unallocated bullion as a result of banks' insolvency, it did seem remote, but not so now. It seems less so now, and gold is not covered by the protection scheme that underwrites cash deposits. So I guess what this is saying is, if you have something deposited in a bank, let's say your cash is insured up to a certain amount, but I guess what they're saying is whatever else you have in that bank aside from cash may not be. So this is something to look into. Again, if you are keeping things with the bank, again, you need to be aware of other options that are out there for you, and things that can happen when they go wrong if you have it in a bank in a safe deposit box. So storing unallocated gold outside the banking system with a trusted bullion dealer would circumvent this danger. Okay, so I'm not going to continue with the rest of this, but I think we more or less get the definitions here. We kind of understand personal property, allocated gold. Each 2-bar bar is given a unique serial number, which is then linked to your account, allocated gold. Not held in a pool, allocated gold. Unallocated is the property of the institution. Okay, so we get that? It is the property of the institution. It goes on their balance sheet. Unallocated is cheaper, typically free storage. So with allocated, there are also fees for storage and insurance. There's a cost, premium, if you will, but this premium allows peace of mind of knowing your bullion has your name on it. And again, this was coming from just checking there, this is coming from the Royal Mint, itself. Okay, coming from the Royal Mint. Okay, moving on. Let me take a quick look at some of the comments here, because I know this can be a big thing. Could even be a heated thing. So we need to just make sure we all understand and we're all on the same page. Okay. All right, looks good, looks good. So let's move on to the Austrian Mint. Okay, so what does the Austrian Mint offer? Austrian Mint, if any of you guys have Philharmonics, this would be the Austrian Mint. Austrian Mint is pretty interesting because we need to scroll down to storage and retrieval, I believe, and we need to look at this portion here, collective storage. Okay, collective storage. Let me make this a bit larger as well. Okay. Collective storage means that your products are stored together with other products from other customers. And this is fine. This is fine. All it means is, you have a safe deposit box, which your things are stored in that box alone, just your things. And then you have a sort of a collective storage where, it may be separated in certain amounts or whatever it is, but, it's a general population, let's say. Now, if you want to retrieve your products, you always receive the precise quantity of the products you have stored, but without the right to a certain year or varying denomination. This type of storage is called collective storage. So now we have a little bit of some might say confusion, some might be wondering what this is. What they're saying is, if you go ahead and buy stuff and put it in storage, it's in collective storage. If you want to retrieve your products, and again, collective storage, just think of a private population and a general population. There's nothing really wrong with collective storage in that definition. If you want to retrieve your products, you always receive the precise quantity of the products you have stored, but without the right to a certain year or varying denomination. Now, this means maybe you bought a 2020 coin. When you retrieve it, maybe you'll get a 2015. Maybe you'll get a 2021. But that's what it means. You may not get back what you bought. Okay, so that's something you got to consider. Again, if you plan to store, what type of storage options do they have? In the case of the Austrian Mint here, they pretty much plainly put it out there that you may not get the same thing that you bought. So just think of a warehouse. If you put in a black rocking chair, when you go to get it out, you might get back a red rocking chair. Who knows? But you may not get the same thing back that you thought you bought. So again, maybe you bought a 2020 coin, maybe you'll get a 2015, maybe you'll get a 2021. Don't know, but they're letting you know you may not get back what you put in storage. Okay, so that's the Austrian Mint. Okay, moving on. To be fair, the Mint is not calling their storage allocated. So let's be fair with that. Calling it collective storage, but having said that, the Mint, they're not calling it allocated, they're not calling it unallocated, they're not calling it pooled allocated. No unique serial number or something to uniquely identify specific gold or silver linked to your account. No guarantee you get back what you bought or what you think you bought. And again, if you went on the website, they will tell you clearly that it's they call it a collective, and the words are not there. Allocated, pool allocated, unallocated. None of those words are there. Moving on to Perth Mint. And this one, I know it's been in the news quite a bit. Okay, so Perth Mint, let's move down past their storage options. Okay, what's the difference, according to the Perth Mint, between allocated, pool allocated, and unallocated? Okay, so allocated, backed by specific bars. Okay, pool allocated, backed by a pool of bars, and unallocated, backed by working inventory of the Mint. And this is where it brings in a little bit of confusion. Okay, so allocated, what is allocated storage? Allocated storage is the traditional way of holding precious metals. You purchase bars from us, which we remove from our working inventory. So they separate it, they segregate it, and place it in the Perth Mint depository, and against which we record your title to that specific precious metal. If they're recording your title, I guess we could interpret that as they're recording the ownership. Allocated precious metals is therefore segregated from our working inventory and is held under a bailey, which basically means you're giving it to them, but you're not giving ownership to them. Okay, that's more or less what it means. You're not transferring ownership to them. So in this arrangement, and accordingly, does not appear on the Perth Mint's balance sheet. So pretty much, if it's not on their balance sheet, you own it. Okay, so pool allocated. Okay, so let's take a look at how they define that. Pool allocated, we set aside numbered bars into a segregated pool which backs the amount of pool allocated we owe to our customers. Precious metals is thus not available for us to use. And you can see a list of bars. Well, they tell you where they can you can see a list of bars. So think of it this way. If they went ahead and they bought 10 1,000-ounce bars, and you went ahead and you bought into this pool allocated, and you want to take delivery of 10 ounces, well, all the bars there are 1,000 ounces. So there's going to have to be a different arrangement to get those 10 ounces, which may mean they're going to have to fabricate coins, or they're going to, well, more than likely, they're going to charge you a fabrication fee. So anyway, move down. Unallocated. When you purchase unallocated precious metals from us, we immediately purchase a corresponding amount of metal from the market. Okay, so you buy it from them, they go ahead and buy it from the market, usually from mining companies who refine with them. Okay, usually from mining companies that refine with them, which we then use in our business to make coins and bars. Now, accordingly, every unallocated ounce is 100% backed. Okay, because they're going to go into the market and purchase what you purchased from them, and they're going to go ahead and put that either as inventory or as product. Okay, so accordingly, every unallocated ounce is 100% backed. The precious metal purchased by us is recorded on our balance sheet as an asset, and the unallocated ounces sold to you are recorded as a liability. Okay, so you become a creditor. They're going to have to owe you something, and they clearly state this. Okay, it's a liability. Okay, unallocated ounces are sold to you are recorded as a liability. Okay, so you become a creditor there. So they are spelling it out. So how can, this is where some of the confusion comes in. How can unallocated be 100% backed yet there's no storage fee? Okay, it's a good question. Unlike other depositories, which are merely warehouses, the Perth Mint is a manufacturer of precious metals products and one of the world's largest refineries. So accordingly, they have a substantial requirement for physical metal to support their operations, naturally, okay? Now, to fund this working inventory, we traditionally borrowed metal from bullion banks, okay? They get metal from bullion banks at cost. At the same time, investors were depositing metal with bullion banks and others and being charged storage fees. So we realized there was an opportunity to cut out the intermediary and take deposits directly from investors. And the Perth Mint's unallocated is thus, as they call it, a win-win situation where they get to borrow precious metals to use in their business for free. And they're being straight up here. They're telling you they're getting it for free. And you, in turn, get 100% back safe storage of your precious metals for free. Okay, so there's a bit of a trade-off there. We don't charge storage fees on unallocated because the cost of vaulting and ensuring our working inventories of gold and silver are part of our business and covered by the fabrication fees. So again, remember, whenever you go from unallocated to allocated, a lot of guys are going to charge you this fabricated fee. We charge for their bars. We would incur these costs whether our metal was sourced from you or a bullion bank. We charge storage fees on allocated and pool allocated because we incur additional vaulting and insurance cost for storing these custodial precious metals. So if we understand this correctly, allocated, the physical is there. It's being stored. There's going to be storage fees. There's going to be insurance fees or insurance costs that the mints take on. Allocated or pool allocated, again, the bullion is there. They're going to have to take on storage fees. They're going to have to take on insurance costs. Unallocated, they're using that metal as sort of an inventory. They're going to create bars and coins with it. And then they will, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it is backed because they continually get supply from miners or bullion banks or wherever it may be. So there is a backing to it. And again, the thing here though is that I want you guys to let's just keep in mind. Remember that article I showed you where uh, production capacity and demand, they're out of sync right now. Demand is high, production is low. A lot of it has to do with the pandemic. Okay, a lot of it has to do with that, guys. Everybody's just not back at work yet, full speed ahead. So they're trying to catch up with a lot of these orders, or a lot of dealers are trying to catch up with these orders. A lot of mints trying to catch up. And then you have the other issue of transportation, okay, which I just showed you, where there is sort of a backup, a bottleneck with transportation. So these two things start to add up, or they definitely add up as far as when people want to move over from allocated to unallocated, or excuse me, the other way around, unallocated to allocated. So there's a bit of a delay. This is expected. It's a natural thing right now. You go ahead and look at almost any bullion dealer. Um, Orders are weeks out. So it's all across the board. It's not specific to any one mint. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind there. Okay. So they do offer a warning on unallocated programs. Hang on. But generally it's let me just read through this one here. Um Hang on, let me just fix this up. Sorry about that. Let me fix this up. So, what is the Mint's policy on unallocated metal? Well, Western Australian government imposed these strict guidelines on the Perth Mint's management. We are not a bullion bank, do not provide financing or bullion lending derivative services to mining companies and other entities. The mission is to provide you with the world's safest locations for precious metal storage, especially in an environment of increasing global financial and corporate risk. Use of unallocated metal outside of our operations is not consistent with the mission. It would introduce an acceptable level of risk and compromise our international reputation as a safe haven depository. I mean, again, basically, anytime you want to go into unallocated, there is always risk, which is why people will just simply choose allocated. Okay, so allocated Perth Mint standards, it does fit the definition of the World Gold Council. Unallocated still means unallocated. It still means unallocated. And my personal rule of thumb, and I mean, I'll just say this, I may be wrong or may be right. I'm just saying for me personally, if you're not paying for storage, if you're not paying a storage fee, probably or could mean because there's nothing in storage. You have nothing in storage, so you're not going to be charged a storage fee. But in the Perth Mint's case, it's because they recognize that it goes on the balance sheet. They're going to use it for inventory, use it to create products, and then if you want to switch over from unallocated to allocated, expect delays. It's just all across the board right now. So I'm just going through whatever these mints say, nothing really more, nothing really less. Okay, it's just for us to understand again, allocated, unallocated, pool allocated, and what is being offered out there, and what their definition might be. So when you think of this advice, if you are worried about potential delays, this is coming from the Perth Mint itself. I didn't go through it with you, but what they're saying is, if you are worried about potential delays in collecting metal in extreme circumstances, but with concerns about the cost of allocated storage, we suggest you considering a staged approach. One, if everything's good, if it's all good, the world is okay, unallocated, pool allocated. That's what they say. Two, if the world becomes a little bit testy, move over to allocated. Okay, that's basically what they're saying there. So they have a sort of a stepped approach. And the approach can save you significant amounts of money, as it may be some time between stage 1 and 2, which is what they're saying. In fact, I'll just go on to the next one. I don't want to inject my opinion too much on this. So I'll move on to the next one. ABC Bullion, they have pool allocated storage. Okay, pool allocated. Let's see. pool allocated product is the perfect choice for new precious metals investors and regular traders. Rather than buying a specific physical bar, investors buy a share. Okay, you're buying a share, you're not buying anything specific. Okay, and let's go down here. Pool allocated has no storage fees, and investors can withdraw the metal at any time by turning their pool holding into a coin or bar and paying a small borrowing premium. Secure product storage. So with secure product storage, the bars you purchase are held in storage with ABC bullion alongside with other products in storage. Available for all standard bullion products. Okay, let's go down here. If you wish to withdraw your bars, you may not get the very same product you placed into storage. So this is kind of similar to Austrian Mint. But you will receive exactly the same size, brand, and type of bullion product, and they require 10 business days. I mean, we're in a different time right now. So this number here, 10 business days, I really wouldn't hold anyone to account to that. I mean, especially since things are weeks out right now. So let's be a bit. I think it would be good to be a bit flexible on that number there. Premium product storage available for certain products that are stamped with a unique bar identity number, and therefore can be allocated specifically to you. Okay, so that is definition of allocated. If you withdraw your bars, you will get back the exact same bar you placed in storage. Okay, so again, and they also require some time. Safe deposit box we won't get into. So pool allocated, again, you don't really own anything, but you do own a share. Okay, you own a share. Secure, actually, let me say you own a share. Okay, so you do own something. You own a share, but not a specific bar. Let's put it that way. Secure storage is not allocated. Okay, you may not get what you bought. Okay, so that it's not allocated. So again, they're using a different terminology. Secure storage, I would say, it could be unallocated if I had to define it, because it does not fit the definition of allocated. Okay, you may not get back what you bought. Ownership to a bar or coin, or ownership to claim of a bar or coin, you just, again, may not get what you bought. Premium product storage, this sounds like allocated by definition of the World Gold Council. So again, I know people like World Gold Council, they don't like the World Gold Council, but we need something to start identifying what terms are out there, and the mints, they tend to use different terms, whether it's for marketing purposes or whatever it is. We got to understand and classify it to the right point that it is. Let me see. JT, thank you. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Goes a long way still. That it's still 99 cents is good. I can buy some food with that here. So thank you for it. Appreciate it. Thanks, JT. First time I've seen you here also. So welcome aboard, and appreciate you supporting us. Thanks for that. And okay, so then I want to get to Royal Canadian Mint. This one, it's a bit different. They have this thing called ETR. Okay, ETR. It stands for Exchange Traded Receipts, and it is listed on the TSX, or the Toronto Stock Exchange. Okay, so now this is a bit different. So each ETR represents an undivided beneficial interest in silver bullion to be held in custody by the mint. The silver bullion is beneficially owned by the ETR holders and not by the mint. The amount of silver bullion purchased is equal to the proceeds of the offering, and after deduction of the expenses of the offering, divided by the average price per ounce of the silver bullion paid to third-party sellers at the date of the closing of the offering. I'm just going to say, I would say this this is really getting more into sophisticated type of investments. It's not so straightforward. It's not so straightforward anymore. So I'm not going to get too much into this, because this is it's a different animal from allocated, unallocated, and pooled So again, if you're interested in this, though, I would say you should be giving them give them a call. Okay, so now I want to move on to us, okay, here at Silver Bullion, and here we'll just click on storage and about storage. What we do, we segregate metals into uniquely identified parcels, which are audited, insured, and guaranteed to be genuine, customer-owned private property. See that word there, private property, customer-owned private property, stored under exclusive Singapore jurisdiction in our fully owned vault. So this is not a third-party vault. This is our vault, the safe house. And all of this is done as we aim to provide our customers with one of the safest storage options in the world. Okay, so let me move down a bit here. Again, segregated ownership. This is allocated, fully allocated. Utilizes uniquely identified, audited parcels to store and track your private property under exclusive Singapore law. So it fits World Gold Council definition. Once invoiced, we merely act as agents to store, insure, and provide liquidity for your property, since customers are owners, not creditors. Okay, so we get that, right? Customers are owners, not creditors. They cannot be defaulted upon. All right? Can't be defaulted upon. More about the ownership. I do invite you guys to go ahead and watch this video. Gregor explains it all pretty well. Very well. Financial system is almost entirely based on liabilities referred to as IOUs. But once cash is deposited into a bank, it's no longer owned by the depositors. Surprise, surprise. It has become a bank asset that can be used for nearly any purpose. Most bullion storage systems, while promising some backing, operate in a similar IOU manner. So you're hearing it straight from someone who does operate a vault. They do operate in a similar IOU manner as they operate on generic quantities of metal and not specific physical assets that can be owned by the customer, as well as, again, identified uniquely to you, the customer. IOU-based systems offer great advantages to the operators of storage programs, because assets stored are property of the dealers or operators. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is really unallocated, what we're talking about. IOU systems are simple to implement and cost effective to run. However, IOU systems have substantial counterparty risk for depositors, as they may lose everything if the dealer or storage operator becomes insolvent. Okay, so keep that in mind. Remember, we're telling you that some of these mints and dealers, they put it on their balance sheet. Okay, so if anything goes wrong, you're at risk. You are at risk there. And for this reason and other reasons, while IOU systems tend to be cheaper for both customer and operator alike, they are a poor choice if you are seeking to minimize counterparty risk. And this is important right here. A great advantage to owning physical assets such as bullion or real estate is that they can be owned outright. So let's use real estate as an example. The asset is owned, or the asset owned is clearly defined, such as a land parcel number or an apartment number address, not just a generic description saying you own a 140 square meter lot, or you own a 8,000 square foot lot. It does nothing really. You need to have that address. Okay, and your ownership of the specific asset was legally documented in a manner recognized within the jurisdiction it is kept, such as a land registry entry and sale and purchase agreement. So a key advantage of ownership is that once you become the owner of a specific asset, a potential bankruptcy on the seller custodian side does not affect your asset ownership, because the assets are not on the seller's balance sheet anymore. So essentially, you have minimal or zero counterparty risk. Okay, so let me just make sure. Okay, so we're all getting this right. The key differences between allocated, unallocated. So for us, it is entirely allocated. You own it. When you buy it from us, you own it. And you know, if you're a custodian dealer, if they cannot provide you with a unique ID, so let's say you're storing something in your own state or country or out of country, if your dealer or custodian cannot provide you with a unique ID, preferably being auditable, then you are almost certainly a creditor. So again, this is important. You need to have proof of ownership. If the custodian dealer categorically refuses a visit, okay, they don't want to let you in the vault. They're going to tell you, our insurance won't let visitors come in. They're going to tell you, it's top secret. We can't let you in. If they refuse, don't want you to visit or have a personal audit, then the bullion is likely not present. Outsourced vaulting or the storage location is simply not presentable. Okay, simply not presentable. In these cases, vault security is often used as a pretext to deny visits. Okay, make believe security. When we go there, um, let's see, make believe security. Sorry about that. You're going to hear arguments like this. It would be a security breach to show you a picture of your bullion or the facility or where or how your bullion is stored. You're going to hear these things, and if you do, it's a bit of a red flag. This explanation is typically used to hide the fact that storage is outsourced to other parties, it's not present, or it's stored in some retail shop back room, which would be straight up embarrassing to show you. So these are some things, again, you need to check on. Okay, absolutely. At Silver Bullion, the founder, Gregor Gregerson, has been adamant to never utilize an IOU system because despite the many conveniences it may have, it's not in the long-term interest of the customer. And once established, it's difficult to switch from an IO-based system to an ownership-based system. Okay, so let me go back here. Okay, so when you store with us, sorry guys, I know it's been long, but there just seems to be so much confusion. But when you store with us now, okay, we don't. A lot of times we don't even like to use the word allocated. We prefer the word ownership because you own it. You absolutely own it. It's yours. And because we're a vault that tests what you store, and we even offer a genuinity guarantee. Okay, we're going to test it. We're going to make sure it is what it says it is. We're going to make sure it's real. Go ahead and find a vault that does that. That does that for you. Okay. And since we know the gold and silver you store with us is as stated and true, then you can also use what you have as collateral to go ahead and get a loan against it if that's what you choose. This is not leasing. This is you own it. You are using your gold and silver as collateral through our peer-to-peer secured loan system. So some people your peers will lend money and they will lend it feeling pretty sure that it's going to come back because gold and silver is being used as collateral. So it's not a leasing program. Let's just be clear. Let's be clear on that. So let me hang on. Let me switch over here. Okay, so a little bit of commentary here. Although the World Gold Council has their definitions, as you can see, not all mints and surely not all dealers follow the definitions of the World Gold Council. And in fact, a lot of times they have their own definitions, which will show you simply no standard, and standard is what's needed. But it really comes down to what you want. And this is what we started it. So if you're still here, thanks for being here. It comes down to what you want. If you want ownership of a specific bar and coin, tell the mint or your dealer in no uncertain terms, this is what you want. And by World Gold Council definition, you might use the term allocated. Okay, so you need to know what you want. You need to know what they're offering. Although again, the mint or dealer you choose to store with may define allocated. They might define it differently. Okay, so again, know what you want and how best to explain and define it. If you want price exposure, a lot of you guys are wondering, unallocated, why? Why would you do that? Well, let's say you want price exposure and no storage fees. You believe silver and gold are going to go up, but you have no place to keep the metal. Maybe you're in a country that it would be very risky to ship the metal to you. But you do understand gold and silver are going to go up. You just want the price exposure. You're not, let's say, emotionally attached to the metal. I am. I'm emotionally attached to my metal. But let's say you're not. So you may not, want to pay storage fees. You don't particularly care about owning a specific bar or coin. You may want unallocated. No need to pay for storage fees. No need to pay for fabrication fees. All of these things. So maybe that might suit you. Everyone is different. Okay, everyone is different. Now, if you're looking at cost-effective ownership of physical metal, then maybe pool allocated might be your answer. Although keep in mind you don't own a specific bar or coin as well, and what you have is claim to, let's say, a purity 3949, a purity of gold or silver, a weight of gold or silver. You have a claim to it, and when you want to pull it out physically, there may be fabrication fees. Okay, so in the end, again, it all depends on what you want. Do you just want price exposure? Do you want to claim on gold, silver? Do you want, ownership of a specific bar or coin that belongs to you? It's really entirely up to you. Okay, so having said all that, let me get back to. Hey, why is this not working? Okay, hang on. Let me just get back to something here. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this. Sorry about that. So anyway, there I am. Okay, sorry. So allocated, unallocated, and pool allocated. I'm hoping we kind of understand this. Uh, Keith Richards. Okay, we'll look into it. But how are you guys about this? I mean, do you, is it a bit more clear? Did I make it more confusing? And again, I'm really doing this because looking at what's been going on out in social media, I think we got to understand the definitions, and then I think we also got to understand what we want and understand what mints and dealers are providing, and then we also need to understand these are not normal times. I mean, production is slow, okay, and demand is high. Shipping's a bit more of a problem. It's a bit more expensive, which that's going to figure into premiums. So we have your spot price and your premium, but these things are going to figure into the premiums. So when you really take a step back and look at things, it all it's all it all starts to make sense. It's not things aren't going wild, they're not going berserk or anything. Things, it really does make sense as to what's going on. And if it didn't, I'd be one of the first guys to probably tell you. But it's just the way the industry is right now. Demand is high for sure. Production is a bit slower, transportation issues, so getting the shelves restocked can take a bit longer, and it's the same with the mints. So it's industry wide right now. So anyway, I'll take a look at some of the questions and comments here. I know it's running late. Um, Let me see. Just want to take a look at some of these comments. Um, yeah, Mr. Nguyen, I agree. I want wealth preservation for the coming reset, transfer of wealth. I agree with that. Which is why for me, I'm more physical. Well, I'm all physical. I have everything is legit. It's owned. It's mine. So that's just me. So let me see what else is out there. Um, let's see. MX old timer. I prefer to hold my own. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I would never argue with anyone who says they want to hold their own. I'd never argue that point. I think you should, have some with you. You should always have some with you. Okay, let's see what else is out there. Yeah. He's looking at comments. Yes, I am. I'll see if I can pull some up here. Manuel De Jesus. Right now, we're in the bread and circuit stage. Absolutely, I'll completely agree with that. We are there. Bread and circuit stage. I mean, you look at the pandering that's going on. Um, Things out there that basically try to keep you entertained. I mean, you hear that a lot from people. Entertainment. They want to be entertained, and we're going to get our entertainment. But the thing is, we also have to see through it and really see what's going on. So that's a good point there too. Let's see what else is out there. Standing mannequin. Standing mannequin. First time I've seen you here. Welcome aboard. M2 disappeared. Yeah, it did. It used to be a weekly report. Now I think it's coming out every month. So You gotta ask why. Why they do that. Okay, let's see. Zipfile, sorry about that. When your store says pick up in shop, that means we have to go to you or will you ship? It means for people here locally, they can come down and pick it up. Uh, they You can either put it in storage. A lot of international customers that we have absolutely put it in storage, or for locals mostly they can come down and pick it up. Shipping, there's always going to be fees, so I think it depends on where you are in the world. Maybe there's someone in your backyard who may be able to do it for you a little bit cheaper because yeah, we are going to have to include some shipping charges. But go ahead and email us and let us know what you want and what you need, and we'll see if we can do it for you. Sales at silverbullion.com.sg. Okay, let's see. Um, okay, hidden numismatist, how you doing? Okay, I think maybe that's about it. Um, Let me see. Um, Stacker 68D. I see your question. You know, did you know that most LBMA refineries are in China? Okay, so I mean, I'll just be pretty clean cut about this. Most LBMA bars, or the most refineries are. In fact, let me just show you. Okay, let me show you this. Um, Hang on, guys. So if you were to search um, LBMA good delivery list. Okay, if you go ahead and search that, you click on good delivery current list. Okay, so we'll click on it. We'll go to silver. Okay, because we want to know about silver. We'll go to silver. Okay, and then we'll go to filter by country. So these are LBMA refineries now. Australia, 1, and we know this is the Perth Mint. Canada, 2. China, 16. 16 LBMA refineries are there. So within Asia, let's just look in Asia because Australia is in Asia. Hong Kong has 1. India, 2. Japan, 13. Um, Korea, 2. We can even go as far as Kazakhstan if you want, which is 1. Maybe we'll go as far as Turkey, which is 1. Taiwan, 1. Thailand, 1. If you just look at this list right here and you're Perth Mint and you need to source silver because, again, demand is high and Perth Mint straight up tells you, especially in unallocated, they will go to their miners. Okay, but if your miners aren't able to produce, again, because of the pandemic, you need to source it from somewhere else. And if you are the Perth Mint, more than likely, this is where you're going to go. 16 LBMA refineries. And typically what happens anyway, these bars come out, they're melted down. Okay, they're going to be melted down and remade as a Perth Mint bar, as whatever bar. Refiners will go ahead and oftentimes get these bars from LBMA refiners. So, it's common. It's a common practice. I mean, Germany 3, India 2, Italy 2, as mentioned. If you look at the US, there's only 3. Now, if you're, let's say, the Perth Mint, are you going to fly it in from Utah, or Massachusetts? That's a long ways. Okay? It's a long ways. Whereas these other refineries in Asia are a lot closer. So again, when you take a step back and you look at it, it all makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. And again, I know what's going on. I see it, what's going on. But this is the reality. These are LBMA companies, and most of them. This may be news to you. It was also news to me. But when I looked at this list, most LBMA refineries, that's where they are. Okay, so it makes sense. The probability is that's where you're going to get it. That's where you're going to get it from. So, I mean, it's a good question. Um, Politics aside, everything aside, that's where most of the LBMA refineries, for silver anyway, that's where they're at. Okay, so let's I mean, I know I understand what's going on, but we just got to take a step back and take a look at that. I do know what's going on, which is why in part I wanted to have some clarity on allocated, unallocated, and pool allocated, and then as well some clarity with your question where, you know, what would you do if you were the Perth Mint? High demand and production is low in your country where your miners may not be able to keep up, but you're living up to your word where you need to go ahead and get that product to back even the unallocated. What do? You're going to see where else you can get it from, and there you go. Okay, so again, that's the reason. Um, for me, I see it pretty clearly. You know, there's nothing really behind it. You know, that's what it is. Okay, so with that, I guess that's that's about that's about it. I'll be wrapping up. Um, sorry about the length. I know I read quite a bit. I just hope things were a bit clear. But again, especially for new guys, you know, I think this is important that we clear it up and then we understand what mints are offering, and then perhaps even why mints do what they do. So hopefully, that LBMA website where it shows you where most LBMA silver comes from tells you it's a normal thing in the industry. Okay? If you know the industry, it's a normal thing, and if you don't know the industry, well, that's where most of the LBMA refineries are from. So again, just take a step back. Take a step back whenever you hear things. Okay. So with that, I think I got to be headed out. Tweety Bird, I appreciate it. I'm not the best teacher. I'm not the sharpest knife in the kitchen. I'll be the first guy to tell you that. But we got to we got to lift up from where we are and lift up whatever our knowledge might be, so we understand things a bit more, because a lot of things floating out there right now. So anyway, as always, just want to say be a blessing, not a burden, and saddle up for what's coming ahead and silver up as well. I'll see you guys next week, and everyone, just take care out there.